Hey homeschool friends, welcome back to the channel. So today's video, I am going to be chatting through where my mind has been. I feel like I have been so chaotic and distracted, and I've just been trying to solve the issue of language arts. And I mean, the issues aren't large or terrible, but if you saw my latest update video, which I'll link above, I chatted about how we've had a bit of a rough start with our language arts this year in a couple different areas. And so this video, I'm going to touch upon that, but I'm also going to explain my current plan. I picked up some new curriculum. I'm going to show you that. And so let's just hop into the video where I could just chat about all things language arts today. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome back to the channel if you're new here, or welcome if you have been coming for a while. So like I said, today's video is a new curriculum, a bit of an unboxing video, as well as my plan going forward for language arts. So if you are curious what we are switching at this point in the homeschool year, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel if you want to. But let me just jump in. I'll jump in first, I guess, with kind of what were my main issues in case you didn't see my update video. So there are some things within language arts that are going fairly well. Those things being phonics, reading, handwriting, no problems there. The things we are having troubles with are spelling. That's a big one. Spelling, kind of language mechanics, and that's not really a problem. It's just a matter of my preference and shifting to a new program for that. So I'll explain that in a second. I've also been having issues a bit with kind of early composition, and that's not so much issues as well. I feel like that's more of, I've just been doing a lot of research and I think I'm going to shift a certain direction, which I'll share with you. Then I was having also issues with anxiety over standardized testing, which you guys were all very helpful on that video. And again, thank you so much for commenting. I'm not always the best at commenting back, but I read every single comment, and your advice means the world to me. I really, really do appreciate it. So anyway, those were kind of the three big areas with which I'm working. And so maybe let me hop with that idea of standardized testing, because I was using the Becca reading comprehension sheets with my son and it was just going poorly. And I just had to reflect upon why I was having him do that. We have to standardize test in our state, but I think I have to wrestle more with the fact that I was taking too much stock in those results. I'm caring too much about what that says, even though I am feeling drawn completely into a different direction than traditional techniques for teaching such things as grammar and sentence structure and punctuation and things like that. I wanted to go a different direction, and I feel like processing that out loud with you guys and thinking a lot about it since then has made me realize I just need to let it go. Just let that go. Maybe I'll do a couple practice test booklets before we do standardized testing in the spring, but I am not going to let myself be ruled by that. I'm not. So thank you all for the support on that. So really what that has allowed me to do is be honest with the fact that I am really drawn to Charlotte Mason, natural learning. I talked a little bit about this in the writing video I recently put up. I have definitely been drawn to her ideas and principles in the past, particularly narration, copywork, and dictation. So really language arts aspect to Charlotte Mason I am feeling more drawn to. And so I'm going to be making some adjustments in our homeschool, and I'm really, really excited about them. So let me talk first before I show you which curriculum I picked up. Let me talk first about how I'm going to implement the ideas behind Charlotte Mason without switching curriculum. And the main way I'm going to do that is by starting to use narration. Now, I have been reading about narration for like 2 years, and I've always been really drawn to it, and I can see how it would work. I just didn't know how to do it myself, but I just told myself I should just do it. I have an amazing program, Sonlight, which is literature rich, great books, living books that would be easy to narrate. I just needed to start. So that's what I did. So I picked up these books. So they're from School Nest. I'll link them down below. She has them on Amazon. She has amazing colors. I picked up 2nd grade for my daughter and 3rd grade for my son. And they're set up a little bit differently. Like my daughter's is set up with still having a place for drawing and then bigger lines below than my son's. But really, I'm going to be using them for similar things between the two of them. That being, I'm going to record their oral narrations. I haven't yet figured out written narrations. I think they're just a little too young. But oral narrations, some copywork, as well as the language arts for my son. So I'll show you all that in a second. But we've started it, and it's been going really well. I've just been copying down their thoughts, and I have found that narration is working really well. Okay, so let me give you an example. So with Sonlight, I love their history and their science and Bible and literature and all that, but I'm using history and science to tag team the narrations from. And so what's really fun is I feel like my kids are getting more out of the readings when we do narration than when we do the discussion questions. And so what's really cool is I'll ask them to narrate back to me. I'll ask them to start to formulate their thoughts, to organize their thoughts, take a moment, organize their thoughts in their head. I would encourage them to think about how they would tell the story to their dad, like to explain it to someone who hasn't heard the story, and to just give them a moment to process it and then verbally present it to me has been really cool, because I feel like the information has stuck a lot more. And what's cool is then I can take their narration and we can work then through some discussion questions that either I come up with or the ones from Sonlight. And it just has resulted in not just like a checkbox situation where I'm just like, okay, I read science. Okay, we're going to read this. But now it's like interacting with the material. I don't know. I feel like narration has just really helped with that, which I am jazzed about. And I'm really also excited about the process of them learning how to think and organize their thoughts, which in my update video, I mentioned the fact that my son said that he struggles to organize his thoughts. And so he was struggling with the creative expression in Sonlight, or the early composition part of Sonlight, because he just couldn't organize his thoughts. And so we're kind of using narration to tackle that a bit. Okay, so now I mentioned the Sonlight creative expression. So within the Sonlight language arts, there's copywork application, which is typically grammar and sentence structure. And then there's also the creative expression, which we have struggled with in the past. And initially I was like, well, maybe I'll just drop it, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to drop it. I'm going to adjust it. Because I feel like I've been doing a lot of research and learning how to teach writing, I feel like I can use what Sonlight presents in their creative expression to really target what my son needs, and my daughter, because they both were kind of struggling with the creative expression. And so my plan is to take it, but do it mostly orally. I feel like chat about things with them in a very like non-threatening way, in a very much, I'll just write it all for you. I'm really more interested in your thoughts. And what I do like about the Sonlight creative expression, which is why I'm tempted to keep it, is because it exposes them to so many different types of writing. So it can be like a descriptive study, it can be a story starter, it can be talking about telling things in order. There's just so many different little assignments that I feel like are really good. And I feel like that is an area of early composition, of kind of setting the foundation for them writing more in the future. And I'm just partnering with them. I'm doing it with them. So I feel like I've gotten a lot of inspiration from like Julie Bogart and partnership writing, but I'm utilizing what I have, because I really don't like just tossing things without like being thoughtful. And I feel like I can thoughtfully use what I have in the way that I need to use it, because really at these ages, 2nd and 3rd grade, we're going to start those oral narrations, which will then turn into written narration. And I feel like that has more to do with like the information they're being given, processing it, and organizing it in a thoughtful way. But that doesn't really help them come up with like little description paragraphs or narrative paragraphs or expository paragraphs. All these different types of writing isn't within that written narration. And so I feel like I'm going to loosely try to do both of those things in a very non-pressuring way. So very low key during these years to kind of set some of those foundations, because I really am inspired by this natural way of learning. So that's what I have decided to do with kind of composition. So let me get into the unboxing part of this video, which you all might be curious what I actually picked up. So sorry I left that till later. I was telling the story of what I was getting. So what I picked up in my little box here is simply Charlotte Mason. And so I picked up a few things. And the first couple things I will show you are actually more for me. They're reference material. So it's like, how do you narrate and how to use Charlotte Mason language arts. So it's talking about really hearing, reading, telling, and writing. So this is like Charlotte Mason language arts all put together. So I really wanted to understand kind of the whole process, the bigger picture of the ideas of Charlotte Mason when it comes to language arts. So I picked these up for myself. But as for curriculum, what I'm most interested in for my son, and what was the biggest problem in our language arts this past month and a half, has been spelling. I talked about this a lot in that update video. What I decided to do for him, because he's really struggling with a list spelling was I was really interested in teaching spelling a different way. So we picked up Spelling Wisdom, Book 1 by Simply Charlotte Mason, and then I'm just tagging on Using Language Well, Book 1 by Simply Charlotte Mason for my son. So my daughter, she was also struggling with spelling, but what I decided to do was just table it and let her work on her phonics. This is a big year for her to learn how to read. She is doing really well. You can see it progressing, and I just want to give her the space to learn how to read well and just stop adding all the extra stuff. But my son is in 3rd grade and he's reading really well at this point. So I feel like this is an excellent next step. And to take this approach of kind of that natural style for learning spelling as well as learning grammar is to use this program, and it is very much Charlotte Mason, but I love it because I don't have to come up with it myself. Like, it starts with kind of copy work and then moves into transcription, which transcription and later dictation is really what makes Spelling Wisdom shine. Is it takes passages and it allows the students to look at the passages, study them, study the words, study the sentence structure and punctuation, and get really familiar with it, and then work on either transcribing it, which transcription is really just that step between copy work and dictation, where instead of copying just one letter at a time, they'll start to copy like phrases or words at a time, and that is working on spelling. And so this is my new approach with my son. He is really excited because those just list form, rule form just kind of fell out of his mind. He never knew how to use them, when to use them. And so I feel like what I can do with this is to use this style of teaching spelling and interweave the spelling rules that I know. Like, I know the spelling rules. I have them a list form, and I can do that. I can help him see why things would be spelled the way they would in these kinds of passages, but also give him the freedom to look at stuff, take a picture of it in his mind, and then use that to recall how to spell it when he's asked to transcribe or dictate the passage. So that is my current plan, is to just not be too worried about spelling, to not let spelling slow him down in any way, but to just steadily work on it and maybe keep lists of words that commonly trip him up if they're found in his copy work or his transcription, and just keep a list and make sure maybe we do that on the side. So I have some extra ideas for how I'm going to work on his spelling, but I'm going to try and keep it not too big of a deal, if that makes sense. But what really drew me to this, other than kind of like the spelling, like I was saying, is it hooks it all together. It teaches the grammar, sentence structure, and spelling all together. And it does it for me, and I don't have to kind of pull things out very Charlotte Mason style myself. It gives me a curriculum for that. And to me, it kind of stays separate of, say, like composition. So this is on one side and then composition is on the other. And then it all gets tied together with narration from good living books from our Sonlight history and science and literature and all that. So to me, that hits all of the boxes of what draws me to Charlotte Mason. There are other aspects to Charlotte Mason I'm interested in maybe someday implementing. There is one thing I want to do now, and I did pick up in this latest order, and it doesn't have anything to do with language arts. It more has to do with kind of giving the kids kind of that rich feast, things to narrate from. And so I did pick up a picture study. I picked up Monet. I have always been drawn to these when people are talking about their curriculum, and I'm like, I never know how to put that in, but I'm going to find a spot for it, but I'm not gonna like super stress about it or anything. I just thought it would be kind of another great place that the kids could work on organizing their thoughts and explaining things in ways that made sense and that were just kind of beautiful. And I'm more partial to art than music. I'm just not very musical myself, and so I was more drawn to an artist study. So I am by no means like jumping all into the Charlotte Mason or even simply Charlotte Mason. I'm trying to use what I have, and I'm trying to like interweave some of those ideas behind Charlotte Mason into what we already have to kind of enrich our language arts, really, to be able to practice those thinking skills, to be able to practice verbalizing those skills, and to work with them on like composition and spelling and all that. So that is my unboxing of the new curriculum I'm bringing in. I'm ditching the Abeka language for my son and it's replacing with Using Language Well with Simply Charlotte Mason. I haven't dropped Rebecca completely with him. We're still reviewing all the phonics, but we're using it as a review. We're not doing any of the worksheets or anything like that. We're just reviewing all the special sounds. And so we're dropping the language part, and we're dropping the reading comprehension part of Rebecca, and we're dropping the spelling part of Sonlight, and we're keeping the rest of Sonlight Language Arts, and we're adding some Simply Charlotte Mason Language Arts. I think that sums it up kind of in a nutshell. So I'm really excited to finally try some ideas that have inspired me in the past that I feel like would really enrich and enliven our homeschool, and so I'm gonna try them, and I will keep you guys updated for sure in my updates as we kind of get our feet under us to using these ideas a little bit more consistently. I know I hate switching curriculum. It's one of those things I would rather just stick with what I have, but I think these are nice little tweaks that I have made to change things in a better direction. So yes, that's all I have for this video. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Have you used Simply Charlotte Mason? Do you love Charlotte Mason ideas and philosophy? Let me know down below. And otherwise, guys, give the video a like if you liked it, and I will see you in the next homeschool video. All right, take care.